The presentation of today's racing program is a copyrighted broadcast of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, recreation, or retransmission of this broadcast without the expressed written consent of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please stand for our national anthem. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to beautiful Belmont Park. A nice autumn day here in the Big Apple, partly cloudy skies, temperature in the low 70s, main track fast, turf courses are firm, and we have an Empire 6 jackpot carryover of $169,549. And Empire 6 begins today in race number 5 on the 10 race card. And here are the changes for the Sunday card here at Belmont. In the first, the early pick 5 begins in race number 1. Take out the main track onlys, the number 2, Tabula Rasa, and the number 8, Calidad. Take out the 2 and 8 from race number 1. Race 2 begins the early pick 4. Again, scratch the main track only runner, the number 1, Lost in Rome. Race number 2, scratch the 1, Lost in Rome. No changes in race 3. And no changes in race number 4. A couple of scratches if you turn to race number 5. Again, that Empire 6 begins in race 5, over $169,000 carryover. Scratch the number 10. Let Me Have It, and the 11, Jen's Battle. Race number 5, scratch the 10, Let Me Have It, and the 11, Jen's Battle. The late pick 5 begins in race number 6. Take out the main track only, number 11, Simply Sweet. Race 6, scratch the 11, Simply Sweet. Late pick 4 begins in race 7, one change. Make the number 7, Run Smitty Run, originally. These scratches from race number 8. Take out the main track onlys. The 1, Warden of the North. The 1A, Freudian Slip. And the 7, Double Shot. In race number 8. Take out the 1, 1A, and 7. No changes in race 9. And in race number 10, take out the 1A, Beyond Brown. Race 10, scratch the 1A, Beyond Brown. Fast and firm here on this Sunday afternoon. Again, that jackpot carryover in the Empire 6 of over $169,000 kicks off in race number 5 on the 10-race card. I'll be back at 12:30 with a reprise of the scratches and changes. Coming up next, the Sunday edition of Talking Horses presented by Saratoga Water with the incomparable Andy Serling.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringWater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses, presented by Saratoga Water. He's Anthony Stabile, and I'm going to say, I'm Andy Serling. I'm going to say that you did a fine job with the changes today.
Thanks.
No mistakes.
But I still couldn't get an A+.
I had a slight, I talked to Steve about it, and he agreed. We conferred, and we thought, I think an A was good. You don't think an A is good?
Sure.
Get a lot of A's in school? You probably did.
I did. I was actually a
little
bit of a
teacher's pet, probably a lot. Shocking.
No,
somehow.
I was the cult of personality. No, I was not
Upset.
I loved certain teachers. Dr. Dave Blanchard, I still keep it like a mentor to me. I still keep in touch with Dr. Blanchard.
I think he's watching.
A few others. No, he's not, unfortunately. But yeah, I was either. My teacher, Guido Giuliani, once told my father at a parent-teacher conference that I was the greatest reader of Shakespeare he'd ever had in his 30 years of teaching.
What Shakespearean character do you see yourself as? Outside of Romeo.
A lot of people would say I'm more like Iago. Because
Iago?
Yeah.
You're not really a schemer. You're not. Not like Iago.
Got you fooled, huh?
Not like Iago.
No. Well, Iago's really the first literary character.
Othello's my favorite Shakespeare play.
Hamlet's mine. Iago's really the first fictional character, if you will, that was bad just for the sake of being bad. There was no real motive.
But you're not bad.
No, I'm not bad, but I'm just saying. He was bad for the sake of being bad. There was no real motive behind
I saw a great production of Othello in Brooklyn with Simon Russell Beale, the English actor playing Iago. It was great. I also saw him play Hamlet. I've seen a lot of Hamlets.
Went out to the Nassau Arboretum. Wow, it's got to be 12 years ago. A little Shakespeare in the Park action. Saw Hamlet. Christine took me to
I
Hamlet.
love going to Shakespeare Park in Central Park, and hopefully we'll all be able to do things like that sometime soon.
Yes.
Anyhow, let's get to work on today's card. Today's first race. Thank you, Steve. Anthony forgot that, so A minus, Steve. I think it's jury's still out.
You yelled at me the other day when I tried to do it. How is that on me? B plus for you
First
at
of
best
all, I
today.
would never yell at you. That's just a complete falsehood. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, you should be a member. You should support racing in New York by playing through Naira Bets. Keep the money in racing. Play through Naira Bets. We'll match up to $200 your initial deposit. Use the code MATCH200. If you bet $50 or more on Belmont and Lone Star through the app, and the app only, you'll earn a $10 bonus today. Final day of the Churchill meet as well. We'll be covering that on America's Day at the Races from 12:30 to 6. Okay, now the first race.
Bingo.
I think the horse to beat, and I don't think it's particularly close, and you clearly don't agree with me at all, and I'm a little confused as to how you don't see it, is Pure Bodie, who I thought ran fine chasing data analytics last time, who ran pretty well to break his maiden, and I just thought Pure Bodie would be in front and probably the horse to beat in here. I picked him second. I figured he'd be favored, but I just thought he was the horse to beat. Other than Joel Rosario and Christophe Clement, and I do think there's a good chance Gaelic Gold will beat Allied Invasion because he's around the 3/16 pole. What do you like about this horse at a short price?
This was kind of a process of elimination for me. I was not thrilled with the rest. I thought.
Yeah, but what do you like about him?
Oh, I thought the horse ran okay up at Saratoga. Maybe getting down to Belmont Park.
Did?
Going to help? Yeah.
When?
I thought he ran all right.
When? How? He had perfect trips in his races, and he clunked up for distant third, sort of meaningless races behind Keep Waiting, who couldn't win a $40,000 maiden claimer the other day. I'm not saying he can't win, because I think there's an outside chance he can win, but I think he's a horrendous short price. Isn't he the horse you're supposed to be betting against here?
Well, obviously not. You left them off the board?
You left
this horse off the board.
You left the 4 off the board and have the 3 fourth. So, yeah, I don't like this horse at all.
I left the horse that's running off a 7-month layoff and hasn't been on a turf in 13 months off the board.
I agree. The horse who ran better than Gaelic Gold did in his one turf race, a 2-year-old, will be twice the price or 3 times the price. So we'll get to that. I mean, I think Can You Do the Twist? I know he made a terrible field in his debut, but he actually ran very well in there. I mean, that horse was walking on the front end. The greatest day knew of the entire Belmont spring-summer meet. The horse that should have been like, whatever. And this horse actually ran in there. No knock on Benji Hernandez, but he's not as good as Junior Alvarado, and that may hurt a little bit. But I don't see what's wrong with that race. I don't listen. We will agree to disagree. As far as I'm Fine, we'll show some of that turf race. I think a lot of people will remember I'm Fine because this horse was entered like 2 or 3 times by Brennan Walsh back last year. Saratoga, this horse was entered. No, not Saratoga. It ran in September. But this horse was entered at least twice, maybe 3 times, and was reined off the turf. So the horse gets left, breaks about a length and a half, 2 lengths slow, rushes up on the rail. And if you look at this horse right now, it's kind of caught behind horses. And the rider's sort of searching for somewhere to go. And it's not like he's not riding, but instead of going outside, the horse ducks inside a little bit. And I don't think it was the rider as much as the horse was lugging in. But now he's sort of caught behind. He tries to duck in and run. He ran a 58 buyer. That field has turned out to be just fine. If you look at some of the races, the horses in the race ran going forward. I thought this horse ran just fine last time out. I mean, the only turf race. And I agree. He hasn't been out in a little bit of a while. That does concern me. But I don't think you're talking about a horse that's going to be 5-2. So I'm happy to take a shot. I like 3 and 4 here. The rest can beat me.
Yeah, I didn't particularly care for I'm fine. I didn't understand. I thought she ran well enough first time out on the turf to, I don't know. I understand she's a state bred and you want to get it to New York.
The horse got rained off a bunch of times. They tried to get this horse on repeatedly.
But she still stayed. She wound up in New York after running well open company. I was just surprised she didn't go to find turf somewhere else for the winter.
She's a New York bred.
Why
would they not run her?
But she debuted on the turf for a reason. Why did they run her on the dirt twice this winter? That's my point.
Well, they wanted to see if she didn't run that badly. I mean, she was 2-1 in one of the races. I mean, they wanted to see if they had a dirt horse in the winter. They didn't, so they decided to lay her up. Now, obviously, it's been a longer layup than they expected. Maybe there are some issues, but I don't think you knock this horse on PPs. If you don't want to bet, that's fine. Twice a Lady's dangerous on the rail. A $340,000 yearling purchase. Hostess, you remember for Jimmy Bond, she won 4 of 20 turf races. A 101 buyer, $360,000. Why can't this horse win?
All 4 of the foals from Hostess have won on the turf. Giant Zinger, the most recent, who's a stakes winner. Yeah, nothing wrong with her.
Yeah.
I was kind of against. I wanted to use the favorite. I probably should have put Can You Do the Twist on top. At the price, I probably should have put Can You Do the Twist on top.
The only problem with that race was the horse ran well, but that was a horrifically bad field. But
it was first time. It was 9 furlongs. She ran well going at
you and I just disagree. I think the 6 is an absolute bet against and a great horse to be booking, not betting in there, especially at a short price. Race number 2. I had a lot of trouble with this race, and I want to start out by showing a couple of trainer stats. Show the both trainer stats, Steve, and then we'll show the replay of Raquise. Mini P, Christophe Clement, who I picked on top, has poor stats when he's dropping in for a tag first time out of the turf. Chad Brown, on the other hand, has excellent stats when he drops down. The funny thing is, it seems like every drop down for Chad, a lot of them get claimed, they don't turn out to be particularly great claims. They don't do badly, but they don't do great. But he seems to win when he drops them. And we'll look at Raquise's last race. It worries me. Wasn't this horse entered and scratched for $40,000 at Saratoga?
I believe so. In a similar condition.
How are those entered and scratched horses done so far for Chad and Todd Pletcher so far since the meet began?
No, sir.
Now,
Not good
they're
at all.
individual cases. The reason that I picked Mini P is I think that a 5-year-old that's about to turn 6, a gelding, obviously got a lot of issues. I didn't think he ran bad last time. I just think Christophe Clement is being realistic with him. And he's clearly a better horse than Raquise, and he drew better, and he figures to be more forwardly placed in here than Raquise. That's why I took him. I feel like one of these is kind of supposed to win the race, though I am a little concerned that the 3 Alley-Oop Johnny with the right aggressive ride from Dylan Davis could wire the field, but I'm just not sure he's quite good enough.
Okay, yeah. I thought Alley-Oop Johnny would, like you, would go, be a little aggressive, and I thought Mystery Bank would just lay up right off of him like he did when he broke his maiden. I know that was going a mile and 3/8, and that was not a particularly good field, but I just, this horse to me is supposed to get the right trip today, Mystery Bank. The other 2 that you mentioned make a lot of sense. I probably want Raquise a little more than I do Mini P because we see the 18-month layoff, and now you see another 4-month break.
Well, Raquise hasn't been out now for 8 months also, and
Right.
This is just his 3rd career start, and Chad's already giving up on him. So why is he particularly different if you want to use that kind of logic?
Well, I feel like
Isn't Mini P the older one that Christophe is finally saying, I got to run him in a tag where he has a chance to win because he's got major issues, and I just need to run him?
right, but I think your stats, the stats you put up, and I did not know those stats, but they also tell the story that Chad's horses are in with intent, whereas Christophe's horses don't really get the job done well.
In a perverse way.
And Raquise
it's
is going to be a
actually
bigger price than
it's
Mini P.
compliment to Christophe because he's running horses that are sort of damaged goods.
Correct. People don't realize that stat is a compliment.
I know. Some ridiculous trainer once had a hissy fit because I pointed out he's bad first time for a tag without realizing that it's an actual compliment to him. But trainers sometimes. Some of them see some crazy stuff. I don't like Mystery Bank. I know you like this horse. I don't see this horse at all.
Okay.
Race number 3. Race number 3. You know, originally I was excited. I thought I could bet Cotton Candy Cutie, but then I saw on the outside that Cold-Hearted Pearl was in there. We'll see the State Farm beating Cotton Candy Cutie. This is 4 races back for Cotton Candy Cutie, and I think 3 back for State Farm. State Farm's in good form. Was obviously in too tough last time out.
Yeah, too tough. 6.5, probably a little less ground than she wants, but the more so the field. She gets back to a mile in here. She has Cotton Candy Cutie and Cold-Hearted Pearl to kind of set it up for her. I thought this race just fell into her lap in here.
She's a heavy favorite, the likeliest
she's
winner.
She's going to be a big favorite today.
I'm curious about something. Do we have any idea why Stay Fond claim for $20,000 was voided, and now Linda's running this horse for $10,000? It seems to me that in the cause of giving the public information, I have no problem if we're going to void claims a lot. That's not my business. That's a horseman's issue, and if that's in the best interest of horses and racing in general, I'm all for it. But yesterday, Control Group claimed out of the second race, voided, finished second. The horse I liked, Heavy Roller, finished 4th, claimed. Claim was voided. This horse, the claim was voided. Now, I'm going to guess that it wasn't 3 cases of paperwork mistakes. Maybe it was. But if we're going to start voiding claims with this kind of regularity, it seems to me it becomes imperative to start telling the public why.
And the problem is, and please do not misconstrue what I'm about to say. Of course, the health of the horse is paramount. But in this instance, I think if you're going to offer this information up, the thing that needs to be paramount is the reason, because it shouldn't be leaving you guessing why 3 claims were void. And listen,
all I'm saying
I don't think I have to justify how I feel about the care of the thoroughbred animal.
We all care about the safety of the horses.
You need to know.
But if they're voiding claims and they're running,
you need to know if somebody's signing the slip wrong.
They
You
don't
need to
have
know if
money
there's
in
not
the
enough money.
accounts.
Right? We have and speaking of the healthcare, the aftercare is a 1.5%,
whatever the case
added on
is.
now. So if you're claiming a horse for 10, you really have to have like 10.5 in the account.
No, you have to have $150 more. But forgetting about that. But that's not why they're getting voided. But
it could be voided for that.
I don't want to get into specifics, Anthony. It's not a specifics discussion. If we're going to have a continuum of voided claims, we need to find a way to provide the public with the information, because otherwise it almost looks worse.
And I think
it looks worse.
I
if you just
can't
say
imagine
voided
it's that difficult. I mean, when a horse gets disqualified from purse money, they put it in the line under the PP. Right? Post race disqualified.
So all I know is I see a horse that ran for 20 last time, ran fine, ran every bit as well as she's been running. She was just running against tougher horses, and now she's running for 10. After somebody claimed her, but it was voided. Why would Linda run for 10 when she could have lost the horse for 20?
Well, here's my question to you. If it was, and we don't know this, if it was a vet/soundness issue, does she have a free pass running this horse for 10 today?
Here's the problem, Anthony. No. Here's the problem. The problem is you're guessing. I don't want to guess. Somebody knows the information, and that's the other thing. There are plenty of people out there that know the information, and we can't be in the business of having partial information getting out.
This goes back to the old days, right? When you had to do.
Don't hypothesize why.
I'm just saying this goes back to the old days where you figured out your fresh geldings, you figured out your blinker change where they wouldn't put in.
That's different. That's completely different. Figuring out fresh geldings, you could find it out if you did a moderate amount of research based on the information that was available. This information is not available.
It's not available. Okay.
That's the point.
Okay.
Anyhow, I picked Beyond Discreet. I know she hasn't run great in her last 2 starts. She's running against horses that are stakes horses compared to what she's running against here in general. I don't trust Stay Fond. At some point, the clock's going to strike 12. She's the horse to beat, but I think Beyond Discreet, the drop down for Rick Schosberg is where I want to go at a much better price.
She's a quintessential drop down. Whatever she has to be. I'm using the 3 of them, the 4, 5, and 6 in the multis.
Race number 4. Not a lot of horses with experience in here. I'll show you one that has experience, and that's Lightfoot Miss, one of 3 for Belmont. And the surface things, this horse ran fine, getting beaten a half length. This race absolutely and completely blew up around the 16th pole. I mean, it's funny. Jose Ortiz rode the second place. The horse is in for Dub Silks in second right now, and Jose was rocking hard place. If he didn't go after the Asmussen Speed horse, who was heavily betting there, that horse probably wins. So he was doing everything he could to win. She still almost won the race, but the race just completely collapsed in the late stages.
So a turf race masquerading as a dirt race because you at the 16th pole, or just inside the 16th pole, there's about 5.5 lengths separating those 5 horses. I can't remember, certainly not this meet, a field collapsing together like that.
No,
Everybody
that was
just accordioning it's like an accordion came
the
together.
winner did no running in an off-the-turf race first time for Todd Pletcher in the next start. Ran terribly.
Yeah.
The subsequent start really badly. Well, you guessed yesterday with the Peter Brand horse that took no money, so you're guessing with this one.
Yep. Dan was 4 for 12. They paid $375 for this horse. She's a quality road.
It's a lot of money to pay, considering, at least on the dam side, she's produced nothing. She herself wasn't much racehorse. This is only her second foal. Obviously, the quality roads, and he's been a good sire, and you can understand why they're paying money for him. But we'll see. We'll see. 6.5 first time out. I guessed with Honey Pants, and I'm thinking this is a tip. I said to Kristan, I said this in the show yesterday. I said,
Do you think it's Honey Pants or do you think it's Honey Pants? What do you think it is? I was thinking about this last night. This is what I do.
You know what you should consider? Reading. You know what you could have been doing when you think about that? Working on Thursday's card. So I was watching.
I was on the air till 8:30 in my defense last night.
I was watching.
I was.
Yeah, I got it home at 8:40. So thanks. Honey Pants. I asked Christoph to come on. I was sitting with him, I think on Friday watching race.
Oh, this is the horse you were talking about
already
the
made
other
my picks,
day.
and I said to him, "Oh, I picked a first time a start of yours, and that horse in the 4th race. That horse any good?" And he went, "It's okay." Which I think must mean he must love the horse, right? I think that's like French trainer speak for, I absolutely love him, but I'm not going to tell you.
Think he turned the cold water on?
It's not like, it was just so ridiculous.
He cold watered you? I hope he did.
I already picked the horse, so it didn't really matter. I wasn't going to change.
I still hope he cold watered you.
Oh, I don't. I don't trust any of them. You know what annoys me about Spa Ready?
Andy, what annoys you about Spa Ready?
The dam. This was a...
was that the
Godolphin horse?
Rusty?
No. There was a delay a game that's a stakes winner for Rusty Arnold in the late 90s. And, 10 years later, a little over 10 years later, 15 years later, Godolphin has a name of a horse that ran a little over a decade ago as a stakes horse. They couldn't find a different name?
And she's not foreign bred.
I think it was like the Stuyvesant or Stymie. That horse won by 5.5 lengths. I think Jean-Luc rode in the slot, paid $38. I couldn't bet enough on the horse. Was Lone Speed. Richie will remember, because Richie got scratched in there. And I told him on the phone last night, I said, "You won't win anyway, delay a game, can't lose." And he's like, "Really?" And he called me back like 15 minutes later. He said, "Oh, my God, I looked at the race. You're right. That horse is a cinch. She's Lone Speed." And it poured, and it turned out to be a huge speed track. The horse just galloped the front. It's the last big score Sean and I made
I did
together,
remember,
I think.
was it G. Watts Humphrey, I think, right?
No. Peace.
Oh,
Those
right.
those
Okay.
orangey silks.
Wow, yeah.
Anyhow, that annoys me about the 3 Spa Ready. Now that I got that off my chest. I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost run. It comes out of one of the worst maiden races we've run in New York this year. And did have a little bit of a trip. But I don't know. I can't bet the horse had a race, but maybe just a completely different horse will show up today.
Early in the Saratoga meet, drew down inside, took some money that day, went off at 6-1. I like the post relief to the outside now. A couple of months later, 3 months later, we'll see what 6-1
Big's
debut.
trying to tell me it was George Odom. It was the late 90s, Richie, and I don't think George Odom was still training at that point. I'm not sure he was with us.
It was definitely Rusty Arnold.
No, it was Rusty Arnold. I'm 100% sure of it.
It was definitely Rusty. I mean, we're both not going to think Rusty Arnold.
Before
was
your
wrong.
time, George Odom, first-time starters in Saratoga. It's one of the first things I learned from Andy Beyer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. George Odom. Always had a firster at Saratoga that won. Always. Race number 5. By the way, Honey Pants, just to get back, I guess it's kind of a turf horse, but 4 of the 10 foals from the dam were actually pretty good. And Christoph running this horse in the dirt I thought was a positive. It's a guess on my part. I have no information at all. Richie's saying there was a delay of game for George Odom in the 80s and then Rusty's horse.
And now this one?
Is that possible? That's
Sure.
possible. If Richie
7
remembers,
years.
it's probably true.
It has to be 7 years, by the way. 7 years after
I understand
retirement.
there are some champions and names get retired. How many names you could come up with? An
There are
infinite amount of
rules.
names.
There are rules, and then there are. I'm sure there are horses that they take
We should
chances,
move on.
take shots
We
at.
should move on.
All right.
Race number 5. A lot depends on what you do with Robin Sparkles. We'll take a look at that blistering race she ran last time. Some people are going to say because the second place finisher, Bonus Baby, didn't run well the other day, that maybe this fig is way too high. It's not too high. This race came at a time when there were multiple other turf sprints in the card, and this race got the figure it got. This horse was, I mean, you're the one who complained to me about the horse getting the 100, and it should have been
Fire.
like a 400 or something. Won less impressively than this horse did. And first of all, Bonus Baby broke the gate at the start. And I don't want to use her performance to judge this horse's performance. I get all of it. I also don't know that she's a 7 furlong horse. But I'm going to tell you something. If there's a good horse in this race, it's 1-9 to be her. And I think a lot of people are going to have trepidation at 7 furlongs and about that race. And I think she'll be every bit of the 2-1 to 5-2. And while I absolutely respect your top pick and I have her second, I think Robin Sparkles is going to be very tough in here. I think she may be pretty good.
If this race was 6 furlongs, I would probably take Robin Sparkles, and she'd probably be.
Why can't she get 7?
I'm not saying she can't.
What about her?
I have
What about her
more,
says she's-
I have some trepidation going 7, and I want the horse that I think is going to inherit her.
Here's Princess Fazia, by
Yeah,
the way.
and that was it.
Who is not going to inherit her. She's not the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th speed in this race. I mean, we don't believe her's got more speed than she does. Even overheated's probably faster than Princess Fazia is running in distance races and slow-paced races. I agree that Princess Fazia, the turn back to 7 furlongs, should suit her well. I think she's talented. I think she's run well in her races. And I think she's absolutely the one that's the most likely to be Robin Sparkles. But she's not. I don't know why you'd want the horse sitting behind the 2 if you think the 2 is going to fall apart.
Well, I mean, how do you think how do you see this unfolding? Do you think Jose Ortiz is going to try to rate her on the front end, or are you just going to let her rip?
Let her go.
Yeah. Well,
I
when I
think
say
she's going to
inherit
go
her,
21-2. I think he's going to do what he did with
right.
Saif.
Okay. Right.
And
So
he's going to
that
get away
puts-
with a first quarter that's not super strong and turn into a 5-ace race with an advantage with a horse who might be far and away the best horse in the race.
Okay.
In Jose Ortiz, I will trust. After that ride he gave Saif the other day.
I don't disagree.
I'm going to use the 8. I'm not. And listen, I'll even use Come Storming because I think she can benefit the most from the turn back as well. The problem with the cutback is it's not a big turn back at 7. The problem with her is she's not showing that she has an inclination to pass horses. Come Storming might be best
Big
in the
issue
front end.
with that.
She can't get the lead in this
And
race.
to that point, Tom Bush has put a pair of blinkers on her today. So maybe that'll help her pass horses. I thought she was like you. I thought she was a little bit of a player in here. We kind of saw this race. We just flip-flopped the first 2 and the second 2 selections.
Nick's giving me information from Echo Mix all over this.
I just
He's the man.
I thought the cutback was going to help Princess Fazia, and
Okay.
the 7/8 is probably going to hurt Robin Sparkles.
I,
But you might be
you
right.
and I are in particular disagreement about
No.
this race. I just think the 2
I agree
is
with you.
far
If
and
there's a
away the
horse
to
that's
beat.
going to come out of here and say, "Wow, it's going to be Robin
Right.
Sparkles."
But that doesn't mean she's going to win. So
Correct.
how about this one? There was the delay game that Richie talked about for George Odom, born in 1977. 1993, there's the one that we were talking about for
Oh, we were
Rusty
past
Arnold.
this.
No, wait. There was one in Jamaica in 1996, a Jamaican bred. Then there was a quarter horse. And now there's this horse. It's an awful lot of
Fascinating.
delays a game.
I don't know. I'm going to tell you. I was trying to explain the rules,
I
and
think
you
the
shut me
people at
off,
home-
and now we went back to this again.
I think the people at home are fascinated by this.
I need a break.
You could leave.
I need a break.
You could leave. Nobody's keeping you here.
I need a break.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Make business meetings exquisite. Make a weekend outing exquisite. Make a late night snack exquisite. Make a night on the town exquisite. For nearly 150 years, the Saratoga Spring Water Company has been producing the finest spring water available anywhere. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Wow, that was Oh, I have this out. I have my earpiece out. Well, there was noise coming from the other set.
Hi, everyone.
He's Anthony Stabile. I'm not.
I am.
Race number 6. Race number 6. What you doing here?
Another flip-flop.
Oh, you've.
I bet.
So I got to give you credit about this. You were right about Harlem Heights last time. You said for the race, I've had enough of this filly, and I thought you were wrong, and you were dead right because that race completely collapsed, and she was bad in there. Now, Shug tried to get on the turf. She's after point of entry. She's also after some pretty good horses.
Yes.
And the problem is the full to Harlem Heights, because Bernie's not really a turf sire. The full won on the turf, but was much better in the dirt.
Which one was it? Was it Bokila?
No, I don't remember. I forget.
don't either.
I don't think it was Bokila.
Okay. Bokila Island? No.
Yeah, I don't think it was Bokila
Okay.
Island. I forget. You could be
That
right.
horse
though.
wound up in New Mexico, of all places.
There's plenty of pedigree. I'm just wondering if this. I got her second. I don't trust her. She got to use her. It's a big pedigree, and there's no killers in here.
Yeah. And the last statement you made, there's no killers in here. I mean, the other fillies that I have used in here have some turf experience. And
We'll show one of them.
I
We'll
don't
show
know.
2 of them. We'll show Indiscreet and Ms. Bombastic. I like Indiscreet again. I know I bet her last time. I get that. And I don't think it was a bad bet. The problem is that Windfall Profit has turned into a very good horse overnight. Going into the race, there was really very little reason to like Windfall Profit. She got bet to 8-5, which meant they knew. And she came back out of that race with Windfall Profit to run huge in her next start. I think she finished 3rd, but she ran great. It was that paceless
she
race.
was
She
the
was back to last.
I think she was 4th,
She
actually.
just cruised by this horse.
Yeah.
And I thought Indiscreet went well, but I also want to use Ms. Bombastic, who took some money in there for Belmont and might have needed the start. Obviously not a dirt horse. They kept her in and off the turf race. I want to use 2 5s and 7s, but I much prefer the 2 Indiscreet.
Yeah, I see, we saw the race very similarly. 2 5s and 7s for me as well. And I just put the pedigree on top. I didn't have morning lines either. I'm a little surprised. You don't think with the half the point of entry she'll take a little bit more money? I thought maybe she'd be shorter than I would love 5
What
to 1.
percentage of the people betting
Yeah.
betting her because of half
They're
the point of
listening.
entry? You know who's not
And
listening?
we've brought it up. We've mentioned that she's a half the point of entry
Yeah,
the
but
last 3
it's
times.
it's
a
the
point- it's a-
Bernardini is a negative.
Yeah. But like you said, I
Bernardini
mean,
is a
Pine
negative.
Island and even Bokila Island.
But Pine Island was a better dirt
Yeah.
horse.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like the mare was.
It doesn't have to be huge turf move-up breeding. That's the problem with horses that are related to turf winners. You have to be careful. If it's not breeding that suggests the horses improve a lot on the turf, you have to be careful. And this pedigree doesn't necessarily say that she has to move up a lot on the turf. And especially the Bernardini influence, I think it's iffy. And I'll tell you something else.
Would have been a little more ground. See, would have been a little more ground.
Well, I
for
think
her
that's negative for sure. That's definitely a negative
on
for
the
me.
top part of on the Bernardini end of it.
No, it's just I just think it's a negative. I just think she's a horse that's sort of more of a closing sprinter type, to be honest. What about her suggesting she's finishing in her races? Now, maybe she's a different horse in the turf. I'll tell you what I think Jose should do with her. I think he should go to the lead.
I think he's going to be aggressive.
Right.
with
If
her.
she goes to the lead and she
so.
clears the front, I think she may win.
I do
But
believe she's going to
that's
be
what
very
I would do. I
aggressive
mean, I
with her.
suppose that that 40 Zip is supposed to go here, but if she doesn't, Harlem Heights could be in front.
Yeah, she could be. She could be.
Race number 7. Race number 7, maybe there are some good first 2-year-olds in here. There better be, because if Highly Motivated runs back to this race, a race he didn't even particularly break in, where he lost to a stablemate and Founder, who was best. I mean, he took a left turn or right turn in the stretch. But I thought Highly Motivated ran very well in here, and this was a good field. I know it was a wet track, but this was a good field. This was before the deluge.
And this was obviously a lot closer than the eventual winner. So you could even say maybe this horse did a little more work than the winner did. But the winner was just making figure 8s through the lane, and that was a heck of a performance from Founder. I thought they both ran really well.
No, this horse was fast. It's going to take a good performance in here, I think, to win. Having said that, there's a lot of first-time stars in here. We both have the 5-2. This horse is a half 2.
Lake Avenue and the Into Mischiefs, obviously one of the if
Also
the
half
not
the
hottest.
Marking, who was better than Lake Avenue.
Yeah, one of the hottest, if not the hottest sire in the land. Into Mischief. Belmont, this horse sports a bullet down here over the training track. I'm always impressed when the Mott horses work fast because more often than not they're doing it on their own. This horse is going to be a nice price as well. Gets 6.5
7th
first
Street
time out.
was a Grade 1 winner. She ran around here.
1/2 or 10 starts. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like, I think.
What about Eddie Barker's horse? You don't have a big story on Eddie's $180,000 American Pharaoh?
No.
Well, it's a half to classify. I got a 101. It's a half to life's a parlay. What's interesting is there are 3 of the 6 foals ran, and all the ones that ran were good. The ones that didn't run, the others didn't run. So they didn't actually have any that ran that weren't very good. So I've got that horse somewhere in there.
Okay.
What about Paul Pompa's horse on the outside? 421-2. I didn't think it was a great work, but I'm going to use a Todd Pletcher firster as well in here.
I have two cross-outs in here, and it's probably one too many. If you were to tell me definitively Highly Motivated was not winning today, you're probably looking to hit. I would think this would be an all-button worthy race if you tell me the favorite. Well, I mean,
I don't play that way.
You have a lot of confidence, and I mean, Belmont's firsters they've started to run better, but I don't have an
Right,
overwhelming amount
but
of
I'm not.
confidence.
I don't have to deal with that possibility. Highly Motivated is way the horse to beat.
No. I said if you told me definitively Highly Motivated was not going to win today.
I wouldn't use the 3, and I
Right.
wouldn't use the 8.
Okay.
For sure. Would I use the 2? Maybe.
You would-
I probably
so-
wouldn't use the 4. I would probably use the 1, maybe the 2, the 5, the 7, and the 9.
So you're telling me if you made a selective all button, like I like to call it, you'd leave out Todd Pletcher and
Anthony,
John Velasquez at 4
I don't
to
want to
1.
get into a long
All right.
mathematical discussion here, but if you use twice as many horses, you're going to have to leave a couple horses out somewhere else.
Of course.
And
No,
so
of
all
course.
these decisions affect decisions you make in other races. Race number 8. I struggle with this race. We'll look at the race where More Like It ran second, and Freewheeler ran a very mediocre 4th. And we'll show you the start to show you Uncle George. I don't really know what happened to this horse. It just seemed like Joel said, I have to get this horse to the back of the pack, and I want to get over the rail as quickly as possible and take him back. I'm going to tell you something. I don't
Getting
know.
sick of it?
I just don't think this horse is very good.
I'm giving him one more chance
Well,
today.
I just don't think he's that good. I picked him once in this race and foolishly didn't bet the winner. And I'll tell you something else about freewheeling. I've had enough of this horse. I got him 3rd. He dueled with Big Wonder, and Big Wonder beat him. What is so good about freewheeling?
I don't know why he was on the lead. He had never been on the lead. And he had Big Wonder in there to go, like he has Big Wonder in there to go today.
But what's so good about his races?
Well, I would just think that they're gonna learn from last time and not put this horse on the lead.
Let me put it this
today.
way. Do you think this horse improved from 2 to 3?
I think the jury.
Based on the evidence he
I
had.
think the jury's still out.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why. He had one race from
Somebody got
November to
stomach
August.
poisoning?
Hold on. He had one race from November to August. When he ran in the one race in August, that Noble the crack shot never went to the lead. Noble Emotion was able to get loose on a
This
pretty
sort of I agree.
easy enough pace.
I agree.
And then last time they put the horse on the lead for the first time. So I think.
Well, wait a second.
I think today's
Wait a second, Anthony. He was right on top of the pace in his debut. So let's not pretend.
Yeah,
now,
but Anthony, they
now,
went 45 and 4 in
I
his.
get
you know
it.
What I mean?
I get it. That's a fair point you're making. I just don't know if he's that good.
And listen, I understand he's going to be a short
He
price.
still didn't finish at a Big Wonder.
Today's
he's going to be
kind
a
of
short price.
Today's kind of the day where this is weird.
Oh yeah, today's the
It's
day where
almost
he's
like
running for a tag next time.
It's almost like the double divorce papers today.
Yeah,
Uncle
no,
George and Freewheeler after
but
today.
I don't want him at 5-2
And I
on
understand.
that circumstance,
Okay.
and I don't want Uncle George at 3-1
Okay.
in those circumstances.
Okay.
And I pick him second and third. I obviously agree they can win. I'm not making some big stand. It's not like that silly horse in the last race that apparently a lot of people liked. They can win. I've just had enough of them.
That's fine.
I just didn't want to pick them in here. And you start looking through. I'll tell you something about 3 Outlaws. When I first looked, I said, geez, he really did run badly last time. I watched the race. He broke a step slow. He came out, actually. He didn't really have trouble. He caused the trouble. He didn't run. I'm looking at why. Why? Turf was good. There was real give in the ground at that point. And it was so much worse than his effort in July 25th. And even if you feel that 86 buyer is a little bit on the high side, it's still a race that is better than the ones he's running against. And I think if it's correct that he was hampered by turf with give last time, he's going to run a lot better day. And more importantly, he's going to be twice the price of the other horses. So I got a horse who I know is capable of running a figure that can beat this field, as opposed to a lot of horses that may not be that good, that are much shorter prices. I'm going to side with him.
You know, I kind of, this morning when I was going back over everything, I kind of realized that I may have slept this horse a little bit. To your point, since he was claimed away from Brian Lynch last year, and even the 2 races there, anytime this horse has had any kind of give in the ground,
Well,
he really hasn't shown up.
His first turf race, he actually ran okay, but that was a race that did completely collapse. But if you look at the races in October, you're saying when he was claimed away from Brian Lynch,
Yeah, look at
Bruce
that,
Brown had him,
right?
it's much worse than his 2
much
other
worse.
races. Much worse.
Same way as the race last time. So you see his since last September, 86, 84, 83, firm turf, wet turf numbers 10 to 15 points lower. Yeah, maybe he's.
That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
I'm
the 10
going
11
to have
win.
to use.
They do
I'm gonna
nothing.
use
They
them.
do nothing for me at short prices.
Okay,
Nothing for me.
That's fair enough.
Race number 9. I thought race number 9 was an interesting race. Can Papa Chalk wire the field in a mile? I'll tell you one thing. The racetrack this week is definitely in her favor. I don't think the track was as strongly biased inside as it was other days yesterday, but I thought the inside was very good. And you got to think that she is just going to be running along on the front end here. She's quick. And I know you've been critical of her. You've been wrong, Anthony.
Even I put her third today. Yeah, I think she can win today.
You've been wrong about her. She's pretty good.
Yeah,
this horse has run very well in her subsequent starts. This was a terrific effort. I mean, Timely Tradition, Ray Handel's done a great job with her.
Here's the thing with Papa Chalk is this. I
was
think
almost
if you like it was. If you like Papa Chalk today, you have to hope that the first 2 races of her career were just she's better on dirt than she's on turf because
Of
did
course.
look like
Of course.
yeah, well, but it did look like the mile may have been a little out of her scope.
Well,
So-
she's running like the mile may be a little far for her, so it's not like that's not an issue.
But
and
she's
that's why
supposed
I've
to
got her
have
third too.
she's supposed to have the run of the race today.
Right. You can't leave her out.
No, you can't leave her out. Absolutely
Today
not.
is the day that Mrs. Danvers better win or
And
run very well. This is her when she ran second, and I will say that Grand Cru class is okay, and I think there's a chance to track out a little inside, though it's not clear that was the case, and I think it worked against her. She's had trouble to start. She was too close to the pace last time in the test against better horses.
She's 3 lengths off Gamine at the half-mile
Despite
pole
her
last
pedigree,
time,
though,
right?
aren't you a little worried
Yeah.
that she's not really a mile or two?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's. I think it's kind of tough to judge her off the mile race.
She didn't run, by the way,
Didn't
she
break
didn't
well,
run badly
and
anyway.
she came back in 19 days.
She still ran an 80 buyer,
She
too.
did.
It's not like she ran badly.
And the filly came back. Mott's filly came back and won a little stakes race down at Laurel, I want to say. So she's 3 for 3 to start her career.
She ran 6 buyer points worse, though, winning that
Okay.
stake at Laurel at even
That's
money.
fine. But like I said,
may have been the Weber City Miss. Weber City Miss? I think that was
I think
the race
that's a
she won.
2-year-old race in the winter.
Probably right. No, it can't be a 2-year-old race in the winter. They're running 2-year-old races in the winter.
In December. I'm sorry. In December.
You're right. It could be the last 10
Yeah.
days of the year.
I think it might be.
Maybe you're right.
Weekend Stakes preview by
Could be
Naira
making-
Betts
could be
kicking
making a
in
great
there.
point.
Presented by Naira Betts. And then they ran her in a test. So, again, look, lawyers on speed dial today. There's a lot of divorce papers today.
And we've been skipping trainer stats, right? We
I have no idea.
And I skipped one. I forgot. Anthony,
Yes.
why do you have thankful second?
Say again?
Why do you have
I
thankful
don't like
second?
critical value at all.
Well, you're wrong, but that's okay. Why do you
right.
have thankful second? How
Why
is
do
she,
I have thankful second?
how's she going to win?
I don't know. I think she's improving.
Do you remember
I,
the
I
field?
like
She
the race
beat-
off
she
the
is?
layoff last time.
She
yeah.
is? Well, her speed figure
And I'll
suggests
tell
she's
you
not
one thing.
improving. Very fair base
I'm gonna
suggests
say-
she met the
I'll
same
say
bad
this.
field last time.
I'm going to say this about her. We talked about having some questions about Mrs. Danvers going a mile. We talked about having some questions about Papa Chalk going a mile. I don't have a lot of questions about Thankful going the mile.
Oh, she can get it. Just like Wayne Lucas said, they all get a mile
They
and a
all get a
quarter.
mile.
The question is how quickly. I like critical value in this spot. I think we're going to show her winning the Bowery. She had a perfect trip this day. But keep in mind, this was off a long layoff. She ran an 81 buyer. Now, if it's a big inside track, it could work against her. I will agree with that. Her last race, a lot of people are going to look at it and say, well, how could you bet her off her last race? Okay, let's discuss a couple things. First of all, as you well know, she was scratched because she wrenched her ankle about 3 to 4 weeks before that race. Nothing major? I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. But also, that was a big inside rail. That was a very strong rail on September 4th. You'll remember making sensors on the rail. She
Yep.
got off limit on the stretch. Ice Princess came up the rail. She was 3 wide in the first turn and 3 and 4 wide on the second turn. So in a 2-turn race at Saratoga, she was 2-3 wide in the first turn and 3 to 4 wide in the second turn, coming off of a situation where she had a mild issue. So if you don't think she had a massive excuse last time, you're kidding yourself. And if you throw her last race out on here, she is going to be a much shorter price than her 6-1. Now, you don't have to like her, but to have her behind passive investing, I know Louis your friend, but give me a break.
I wanted to put some price. I don't like this filly today. For everything you just said, they ran her the mile and an eighth off the layoff. Now she's got to come back in 23 days off of the issue that kept her off the track for one of her starts. She's not for me, man.
Okay, you don't like her. That's fine. I think you're wrong. By the way, I have very bad news for you.
What's that?
Guess what race Grand Cru won last time?
River City Miss? Wow. Well, you know what?
The other Steve.
Congratulations.
You got confused by the two Steves yesterday, by the way.
It was very confusing,
No,
Andy.
I took the blame for that. The right
confusing.
pronunciation, as John and Brielle called, was Millefoy. Did you tell him Millefoy?
I did.
You know what the worst part about the fact of what a Millefoy is? It's a Napoleon. I mean, shouldn't Anthony know the correct French pronunciation of a Napoleon?
Despise Napoleons.
There's something wrong.
Not a custard cream guy.
There's something wrong with you. I'll tell you what.
You'd have lost a lot of money on that, right? Me not eating custard cream? You'd have been broke.
I wouldn't have lost anything because there's nobody taking the other side of that bet.
No, taking the other side of me not liking
I'm
custard
saying
cream?
there would be nobody that would have taken the other side of that bet
that's
unless
true.
they were a relative or somebody who had insider information.
Mom would have taken every dime of that.
That would have been insider trading.
Yeah.
Race number 10. I think I left a horse out I shouldn't have left out. The 5 Flashing Red.
Say again?
The 5 Flashing Red I should not have left out of this race. I should have this horse in here somewhere. I mean, Tom Morley made one of the best claims of the last year plus in claiming Xanthique. And immediately running that horse in the turf, and she won almost $200,000, I think, for him. So
three or four
that's something
races.
that Tom's been sharp with, and I should have put her in there. To claim this horse for 20, never having run on the turf, that was a mistake on my part.
My man Patty Reynolds trained the half sister. She won a couple of races on the turf.
Really?
Bella's game.
Imagine how good she was. She won for Pat. I'm just kidding, Pat.
So,
Pat's very active on Twitter.
Yeah, he is. Pat's one of the funniest guys.
Oh, Pat's
Forget about it. He's hysterical.
He's also not a bad trainer
No, he's not.
either. I love that filly he had for Paul. What was that filly he had? The one who ran second or third in the Breeders' Cup, Indian Blessing. But she was a better turf horse. She won the Garden City, I believe.
She won the Garden City.
I remember I begged Pat to stop being aggressive with her, and they raided her in the Lake Placid, and she
I
galloped.
can't believe he did this to me. Pat,
It starts with a P.
Text me, please.
My friend Doug Salvatore turned me on to that horse because she ran 5 furlongs in her debut. In fact, she might have run behind Indian Blessing. Is it possible she did that in her debut at 5 furlongs in Saratoga?
She could have.
I remember, and he said, wait till she stretches out. Anyhow, Lido Key. We flip-flop the Mike Makers here. Here's my question for Lido Key. Is it really going to matter that Mike's got her? Is he really going to be able to break the fact that she's a slow plotter who never wins?
It might not, my friend. It might not. But I'll give her one chance.
I'm a little sick of this horse.
Yeah. I can't say I blame you.
Steve is busily looking up who that horse was. That won the Garden City, and I want to say 2000.
Backstreet Romance?
Backstreet Rhythm.
Backstreet Rhythm.
Backstreet Rhythm.
There
Very
we go.
good.
Yeah, I know. I'm sick of her, too.
I got a stat for, More Mango is going to be more forward. Now, obviously not going to be in front because Winifred J is going to be in front. And I know Eddie Barker told me Saleva this summer he was going to stretch Winifred J out and win.
Eddie, made it in a mile.
I wish you the best.
She won second at the mile,
She
I
may
think, at
have.
Aqueduct.
Mike Maker, how about this one? Off a maiden win in a claiming race turf route. How about those numbers?
It's pretty good.
It's just they move forward. So I put this one on top. I'm going to move in Flashing Red. What about the horse that Mike Beer loves, Stormy Derby Day?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm going to tell you, Mike's had some weird opinions that have been very smart lately. Very smart. I always really give a second look to any oddball opinions that Mike has.
Her best race was when she got to walk on. I mean walk.
No, I know. That's what I ultimately thought.
And her
she
other
obviously
races
can't be
are
in
10,
front.
12 points slower.
I know. I'm going to throw the horse in and Mike say so. Strictly and Mike say so, but I agree.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw Flashing Red in. I should have had her somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm going to miss you. I'm not going to do a show with you for 4 days. Oh, I saw that.
A little positive skew, too, by the way. I want to use a little positive
not
skew.
impossible. Draws better. Gets more pace today. I don't disagree. Movie Nomadland I was going to see last night. Great movie. Great movie. So the director made The Rider. Did you see The Rider about the kid who rode in the rodeos?
You admonished me about this yesterday.
Oh, you should see The Rider. This movie, Nomadland, comes out in December. I highly recommend it. On that note, that'll be my one guaranteed winner today, Nomadland.
No, say it again?
Nomadland. It's based on a book.
Nomadland.
About people itinerant it's a nonfiction story of people who, it's based on a woman who lived in a town out west, out in Nevada, I think, where the town, a sheetrock company, it closed and the town ceased to exist. I think they canceled their zip code. And
Wow.
the town just became abandoned, and
That's
they go back
interesting.
there at one point. And she lives in it's Frances McDormand.
Oh, sure.
Tremendous movie. Anyhow, Naira Betts. You know what else is tremendous? Naira Betts is tremendous. What a segue
Best.
that was.
The best. I gotta see if my $20 is in there.
Yeah, you better check it out. It's not noon yet. Oh, it is noon. Anyhow, you got to support racing. By playing through an ADW that's attached to a racetrack, the money will stay in horse racing. And in this game, we can't afford to have money come out of racing. We will match up to your first $200. Promo code is match200. NairaBets.com for more information. Lone Star in Belmont today. 50-50, app only, $50 or more at each track, and you'll get a $10 bonus. Anthony's $20 in there. You can all rest easily.
I didn't see it,
you
by the way,
calling?
but Kieran McLaughlin texted in backseat rhythm.
Yes.
But I didn't look at it.
So did Steve.
Okay.
I wonder if Kieran beats
My $20 is in there. Very excited about that.
Kieran, the agent. Where's Louis?
Louis was
learned
out in
national
California
security.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yeah.
That's the first mistake that Luis Saez has made in about a month and a half. By the way, Maximum Security. I'm going to be. I tell you what,
I think they figured out, I think they may, I
Improbable's good.
think they may have figured Improbable out too. Drayden Van Dyke took that horse. He watched the head on.
He wants to be out of the kickback. I saw you were talking about that. That's a good
has
point.
to, that has to, that.
But the other key with Improbable, besides getting better, is he's not getting left every time.
Correct.
And he's just gotten very, very
Correct.
good. Listen, he was favored in the Derby last year, right?
Bobby Newman kept saying that yesterday on our broadcast. He kept saying, remember, this horse was favored
It's
over
amazing that he
Maximum
paid
Security and
$560
some
and Max
others.
Security was 1-2.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. I'll be interested to see if we see Maximum Security again. Are you calling races today at all, or just the changes?
I think I'm calling the early double.
Oh, something to look forward to. I will cede the chair to my main man, Anthony Stabile. John Embrial will be joining us, though, at some point this afternoon. Have a wonderful day playing the Big A. Closing day at Churchill as well. America's Day at the Races. You can see Richie and Acacia getting ready to kick off. 12:30 to 6. 10 here, 10 there. Have a great day.